Campagnolo V2 EPS Power Unit. In this video, we shall see how to install the second version of the EPS Power Unit. Please watch the EPS video that is already available, showing you how to prepare the frame and the other installation and adjustment operations. What's new with diagnostics and adjustment of the front derailleur will be illustrated at the end of this video. The V2 Power Unit has been designed to be installed inside the seat tube of the frame, but as we shall see, there are also other ways to install it. Solution 1. Putting the power unit inside the seat tube with its largest end towards the top. This is the simplest and quickest way. Besides the cable guide magnets, we shall also use the new internal installation tool for the EPS V2 Power Unit. Remove the shutoff magnet from the power unit and make sure the vibration dampening O-ring is in the right position around the power unit. If it is necessary to fit the charger cable extension, remove the nut and washer from the power unit connector and fit the O-ring, supplied with the extension, on the connector. Rescrew the nut and gently turn the male connector of the extension in the female connector of the power unit until it is aligned correctly, and then push it inside. Completely screw the extension connector's external knurled bushing. Put the nut and washer back in place. To keep the four cables of the power unit together and facilitate routing inside the frame, mount the two spiral wraps. One by the front derailleur connectors and battery charger connector, and the other by the rear derailleur connector. Screw the assembly rod on the end of the power unit until it goes no further. If necessary, use the rod extension as well. Attention! The extension thread is left-handed. Position the rod externally to the seat tube, with the power unit's two screws seated exactly the same height as the two bottle cage bosses. Use some adhesive tape to mark this position on the rod. This will be particularly useful when putting the first screw in. Then unscrew the rod. Place the battery near the seat tube entry, holding it temporarily in place with tape, so as not to damage the cables, and put them inside the tube. Using the cable guide magnet kit, pull the end of the cables out from the bottom bracket. Screw the assembly rod onto the end of the power unit until it goes no further. This gives perfect control of its position. Guide the power unit inside the seat tube until the seat of the bottom screw is aligned with the bottom bottle cage boss, using the reference mark on the rod to help you whilst guiding the cables from the bottom if required. Tighten the longest screw supplied with a 9mm spanner to a torque of 2 Nm. Now tighten the medium screw into the top seat, in line with the top bottle cage boss, to a 2 Nm torque using a 9mm spanner. If the screw is too long, use the short one or put a spacer in, included in the V2 Power Unit kit. Remove the assembly rod. Place the shut-off position marker so the two holes match the two bottle cage bosses, and take the label off of the bottom so that only the upper rectangular area is left on the frame. Switch the system off by placing the magnetic power-off clamp on the seat tube so the Campagnolo logo is above the position marker. The excess length of clamp may be cut off across the indentations in the perforated section. If a bottle cage is to be fitted, use the spacers provided if necessary to place under the cage, so that the locking screws of the power unit cannot damage the bottle or stop it from being correctly pulled out from the cage. Fit the bottle cage with one washer and one nut for each screw. Tighten the nuts supplied to a torque of 1.2 Newton meters. If a bottle cage is not to be fitted, put the protective rubber caps on the two screws. Remove the spiral wraps that are keeping the cables together. Remove the nut and washer and fit the threaded metal insert on the battery charger connector. Insert the long cable of the cable guide magnet kit in the battery charger connector exit hole, and then connect it to the battery charger connector with the magnet. Partially bring the connector out through the hole in the frame and hold the connector with the magnet to prevent the connector from sliding back inside it. Put the washer and nut on and tighten to a torque of 1.5 Newton meters. Remove the threaded metal insert and fit the connector cover cap, screwing it correctly into place. Continue installation by passing the rear derailleur, the front derailleur and interface cables by following the EPS video instructions mounting the components. Solution 2. Positioning inside the seat tube with the cables towards the top and with the largest part downwards. This is recommended in smaller frames, where the power unit can interfere with the base of the seat post. But you still have to take note that the bottle cage bosses can project into the frame. The adapter for the upside-down installation of the EPS V2 Power Unit needs to be installed on the power unit. Mount the plate, inserting it through the hole of the power unit and fixing it with the washer and screw supplied in the kit. Tightening to a torque of 1.5 Newton meters with a 2.5mm Allen wrench. Continue installation as already seen, but screwing the assembly rod to the plate. Also remember that the decal indicating the shut-off area must be put on upside down. Solution 3. Installing inside the down tube of the frame. Recommended for frames with a seat tube diameter that does not allow insertion of the power unit. The head tube must be wide enough for the power unit to pass through and into the down tube. Besides the cable guide magnet kit, we shall use the down tube installation tool for the EPS V2 Power Unit, consisting of a threaded ferrule with cable and a drilled head screw. As in the previous solutions, get the power unit ready by removing the shut-off magnet. Check for the presence of the O-ring. If necessary, fit the charger cable extension and mount the 2 spiral wraps to keep the 4 cables together. Insert the long cable of the cable run magnets into the bottom bracket. Insert the ferrule in the bottom bottle cage boss and, with the aid of the long cable, run it along the down tube until it comes out of the head tube. Connect the long cable to the short magnetic wire and then to the red wiring. Screw the ferrule into the bottom screw seat of the power unit. Partially tighten the drilled head screw into the upper insert and feed a rear derailleur control cable, or similar, through the hole so that the screw is halfway along the cable. Do not tighten the screw too much, as later it must be possible to unscrew it by simply twisting the ends of the cable. Put the cables inside the tube and, taking care not to damage them on the edges of the tube, guide them out through the bottom bracket. Using the tool cable for installing the down tube, guide the power unit inside the tube until the screw seats match the bottle cage bosses, taking more cable out through the bottom bracket at the same time. Pull the cable of the tool so that the ferrule protrudes from the bottle cage boss, and simultaneously pull on the 2 ends of the cable from the steering side to align the screw seats with the bottle cage bosses in the frame. Tighten the medium screw into the top hole to a torque of 2 Newton meters. If the screw is too long, use the short one or put a spacer in, included in the V2 Power Unit kit. Loosen the ferrule and tighten the longest screw supplied to a torque of 2 Newton meters. Twist the 2 ends of the cable anti-clockwise from the steering side to undo the drilled head screw. Continue installation as already seen for solution 1. Solution 4. External installation. Recommended in cases where the power unit cannot be inserted in the frame. The frame must have 2 bosses in the left-hand chainstay and a hole near these bosses measuring approximately 8 by 12 mm to allow passage of the cables inside the frame. You will need the bracket for installing the EPS V2 Power Unit, EPS V2, on the outside. Remove the nut and washer from the connector and put the cap on, pushing the battery charger connector into the hole, leaving its cable outside the cap. Lock the connector in position by tightening the nut to a torque of 1.5 Newton meters and fit the closing cap to the connector, making sure it is screwed on properly. The bracket must be positioned with the closed part facing outside the frame. To have the bracket facing you, position the frame with its left side facing you and turn it upside down. Put the screw in partially with a 2.5mm Allen wrench in the front boss in an unslotted hole so the screw head is flush. Partially tighten the second screw in the rear boss, left, just enough so the head of the screw does not protrude. Starting from a vertical position with the screw seats facing you, turn the power unit clockwise to fix it to the bracket and align the holes of the power unit with those on the bracket so it can be secured. Adjust the position of the power unit so the profile on the wheel side does not protrude beyond the chainstay. If this is not possible, remove the power unit and reposition the bracket on the screws accordingly to fit the right position. Tighten the 2 screws of the bracket on the frame to a 1.5 Newton-meter torque with a 2.5 mm Allen wrench. Position the power unit temporarily to start routing the cables in the frame. Bend the battery charger cable into a U shape and push the end into the frame. Continue installation routing the cables, following the instructions given on the EPS video mounting the components. Once this has been done, position the power unit correctly and tighten the 2 screws to a torque of 1.8 Newton-meters with a 2.5 mm Allen wrench. Front derailleur diagnostics and adjustments. The V2 EPS Power Unit has 2 different functions compared to the previous version: front derailleur diagnostics and adjustments. Diagnostics is no longer indicated by the power unit LED, but any malfunction is instead indicated by the interface LED with a high-frequency flashing. LED colours are still the same as the previous version. The front derailleur adjustment procedure is the same as the EPS system with an external power unit. We press one of the 2 mode keys until the pink LED lights up, about 6 seconds. We operate levers 2 or 3 of the rear derailleur control or front derailleur control, depending on the adjustment we wish to do. Rear derailleur and front derailleur shiftings are fixed and not continuous, as in the resetting procedures. We conclude the procedure by briefly pressing one of the 2 mode keys. The system confirms it has been stored and the procedure is finished, indicated by the pink LED flashing. Now, however, adjusting the front derailleur does not automatically change the front derailleur setting for the other chainring. In fact, using the new V2 Power Unit, the new position is only valid for the chainring on which the adjustment was made.